Hey there, guys. So I've been watching a lot of movies recently, and I figured I'd review the Transporter trilogy. I recently revisited the trilogy, watched all the movies, and thought I'd review each one of them individually. So let's get to it. So here to review the Transporter from 2002, starring Jason Statham. Now, this is a film that I have to say, I've got to admit, guys, this film really took me by surprise. It's one of those films that shocked me by how much I actually liked it. This film is awesome. And the reason that I say it took me by surprise is because I'm not a huge fan of Jason Statham. I do like some of his movies, however, the vast majority of his movies I'm not too fond of. He's one of these guys who's hit and miss. Sometimes he's in a good action flick, sometimes he's not. And this, I have to say, in my personal opinion, as far as starring roles go, this is without a doubt Jason Statham's best movie, in my opinion. That's not to say that it's the best movie he's been in. It's just the best movie that he's starred in. I know he was in several other movies that I like. For example, he made an appearance in the movie Collateral, which is an absolute masterpiece, in my opinion. I absolutely love that movie. He only appeared in that movie once, though, and didn't really do much in it, so yeah, that was mostly just a cameo appearance. He was also one of the villains, played one of the villains in that movie, Cellular with Chris Evans. If you guys haven't seen that, really good movie. I'd recommend that one. So yeah, I like those movies maybe a little bit more than this, but in those movies he wasn't the main character. So as far as starring roles go, in my personal opinion, this is without a doubt Jason Statham's best. I love this movie. I think this movie's awesome. I think this movie's badass. It's just one of them really feel good action movies, and I'll get into it. But let's talk about this one. So the general gist of the plot of this movie is Jason Statham is basically a retired former special forces agent who is kind of a glorified courier, a glorified delivery man. You know, he's transporting um, packages from A to B. He gets paid to deliver packages. Sometimes he gets paid to deliver people, to be a getaway driver and whatnot. And basically, what he does is he delivers these people, but he doesn't alter the deal at all. He's very strict on rules, and that's one thing I like about it. Is Jason Statham's character in this movie, he doesn't get emotionally attached to his job. Basically, he gets paid, does the job, gets from A to B, doesn't alter the deal, doesn't look in the package, doesn't ask for names, doesn't get involved in anybody's business. He just does his job, gets paid, so he can just go home, and he just wants to be left alone. And you get the feeling that he's a bit of a loner type. You know, just keeps himself to himself, doesn't bother anybody, does his job, and that's generally the gist of the plot. Now, what ends up happening is on one mission he's delivering a package and he decides to, for the first time in his life, break his rule, which is to look in the package. And the first time and the only time he ever breaks that rule, shit hits the fan and it drops him in some deep shit. Now, without spoiling too much of the plot, you know, there's a lot of action in this movie. He ends up caught up in this sort of like a human trafficking conspiracy, and he ends up having to save people. And it's just a fun, feel good, really really over the top action flick. And I love this movie. This movie's awesome. First of all, I have to say the action sequences, really badass action sequences. There's one fight scene in this movie in particular where Jason Statham is sort of in this big like bus depot, and he's fighting all these guys. There's about 20 odd guys coming after him, you know, coming from all angles, and the martial arts on display in that scene from Jason Statham is really impressive, realistic. You know, there's a lot of nice wide shots. There's a lot of really cool stunt work. Jason Statham certainly looks the part in this movie. He's in very good shape. Does a lot of his own stunts. The camera work is nice. There's no bullshit shaky cam. This is just a really competently filmed action movie. The action is really cool. There's some really nice chase sequences. For example, the movie opens up with a scene where Jason Statham, he's delivering these like bank robbers, and he's kind of their as I said, he's hired to be their getaway driver, take them from A to B, and he has to evade the police and whatnot. And that chase sequence is really cool. He sort of drives off a bridge on at the back of this, one of them big lorries that carries multiple cars. And yeah, the stunt work there is really really cool. The driving, if you like driving and you like chase sequences, it's one of the best I've seen. It's a really really good scene, and there's several scenes like that in this movie. So if you like chase sequences, you like really competently filmed action scenes, this is a movie for you. This movie is really really good. And one thing I like about the movie too is that Jason Statham's character, unlike in a lot of his other movies, I actually found his character in this movie to be a lot more likable than usual. You know how in a lot of these action movies the characters tend to be pretty cliche. They tend to be like out for revenge, or trying to save somebody out for some virtuous reason, and they tend to have like complicated backstories and stuff like that, and there tends to be a lot of expedition. In this movie there's none of that. And another thing is Jason Statham in the movie, there's not too many like cheesy one-liners, and despite the fact that the character is such a powerful and such a dangerous character who can fight and who can use weapons and stuff like that, he actually does his best to avoid conflict. Like, he doesn't start any fights in the movie. Whenever there's a fight scene or whenever he has to fuck people up and shit, it's a situation where he's sort of dragged into it, or he makes a mistake and gets caught out and things like that. He's not the type of character who has sort of a high body count. Like, he doesn't kill people for no reason. In fact, he doesn't actually kill that many people in the movie. The only times when he does is when there's no other choice, for example. So yeah, it's a character you can to some extent sympathize with. Obviously, he's working with criminals and whatnot. He's helping things be stolen, like he's transporting bank robbers, and he's transporting like ransoms and stuff like that. But that he has sort of plausible deniability because he doesn't get involved in anybody's business. And the character to me is likable because, like I said, he's not an asshole. You know, when he's doing a job for somebody, and he doesn't ask any questions. He doesn't get too involved. There's even a sequence in the movie where, because he decided to open the package and because things went wrong, um, these people try to have him killed. Like I said, there's a quite a cool scene where his house gets basically shot up by all these criminals and blown up with a heat-seeking missile and whatnot. And basically after that scene, you would expect in a cliche action movie, he'd be like, okay, you made it personal. I'm coming after these people now. No, instead he's just like, you know what? They blew up my house. They came after me. As far as they're concerned, they think I'm dead. So I might as well just go into hiding. And that's what I mean. He's that type of character. He's a little bit more realistic and a little bit more rational about the way that he handles things. That there's no bullshit expedition in the movie. There is a love interest, however, that doesn't really go anywhere. And I'm glad they didn't linger on that too much. The lady who's in the movie along with him, I can't remember her name. I believe she's Chinese. She has a bit of a thick accent, a thick, heavy Chinese accent. I mean, but she's a competent actress. I mean, she does a pretty good job. She's not annoying. She's not whiny. She's not virtuous or anything like that. She's just there. She's got her own agenda. She's got her own thing going on, and he kind of gets roped into this plot with her. And it's understandable how it happens because they end up with a common enemy basically, and yeah, their scenes together, they have a bit of a romance going on, but again, it never goes anywhere. They didn't linger on it, and I like that. There's no bullshit expedition between them. There's even a scene where, Jason Statham, he's got her gagged and he pulls the gag off her to ask her who she is and whatnot, so he can get some information. And she starts telling her, it makes you think that there's going to be some backstory, and she starts telling you stuff, but then he just puts the gag back on and he's like, listen, keep it simple. He's like, how much shit am I in? I thought that was pretty funny. She's just like deep shit, and he's like, that's all I need to know. They didn't need to overly complicate the plot in this movie. It wasn't that type of movie. That's what I mean. This movie understands its tone. This movie knows what it is, okay? It knows exactly what it wants to be. And that is a fun, over the top action flick, and it doesn't need a whole lot of pointless dialogue, doesn't need any of that stuff. It's just an action film, and it's a really competently filmed one. Obviously, there are better films out there, but films like this for me are a bit of a guilty pleasure. Sometimes I like to watch films like this where it's just simple story, simple plot, really, really well done action scenes and stunt work, and it's just a fun action movie, and I'd recommend it to anyone. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Easily Jason Statham's best starring role, in my opinion. This was the type of movie that suited him, in my opinion. He was great in this movie, and I had a blast watching this movie again, man. Really fun. So yeah, I'm going to be reviewing the other movies in the trilogy, so stay tuned for the Transporter 2 review. I don't know when I'm going to do that, but I'll do it at some point. So let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching. God bless. And if you want to see my other movie reviews, I'll leave a link to my movie review playlist in the description section to this video. So thanks for watching. God bless.